Happy Fresh Takes Day, everybody. That means it's Thursday here at the FairLakes1.com studios. Paul Russo and Nick Felice here with you, as always. Nate Sharman producing behind the scenes. You'll hear his voice throughout this podcast. Live from the third floor of the North Park building in
Seneca Falls, New York.
Attaboy, Nick.
Downtown Seneca Falls, New York.
We aren't downtown.
Downtown,
I'll
north
die on that.
side.
We're like 3 blocks away from downtown. Whatever. Anyway, got a lot to get to. We got basketball sandwiching some baseball because of some event that happened yesterday that we need to open up with. But obviously, we got tickets being punched at NCAA. World Baseball Classic going on, and Jim Boeheim stepping down for the university, now to retirement. Very confusing. We'll touch on that, obviously, to get things going here. But happy to see you, Nick. It's been weird. Haven't seen you every day this week like we kind of did last week.
I'll see you tonight.
Yeah, that's true. That portion's factual. But let's jump right into the Jim Boeheim news. Following the loss to Wake Forest yesterday in the ACC tournament, in typical what I call Boeheim/Syracuse fashion, we had some questions about his future, and it comes out a little bit after that he, per the university, is stepping away from head coaching. He himself didn't call it retirement, but he alluded to the fact that he made a retirement speech last Saturday when they honored the 2003 team and retired Hakeem Warwick and Jerry McNamara's numbers. Pretty interesting. Obviously, I know if you're a longtime listener, you know that I'm the diehard Syracuse fan. You know, Nick, the diehard Notre Dame fan. With Nate here coming on, recently, Syracuse fan, but not to, I'd say, the deep degree knowledge-wise here, and he'll be the first one to tell you that. So let's kind of go around the room here, because I will tell you what I was doing. And my initial reaction was I was watching Full Swing, the PGA Netflix docuseries. Made it about 15 minutes in when the news broke. It's funny because even minutes before the announcement came in, I was texting with a friend who lives out of state, and he goes, "So what do you think about Boeheim with his comments post game? Is he actually retiring?" I'm like, "I don't think so. Like I don't see something being commented on that for another couple weeks." And lo and behold, the Paul Russo jinx survived long and well into that. So after that came, I wouldn't say hectic situation. We had assisted our guy Kyle Evans out a little bit, helping him out on the content side of things to get the article published and stuff like that. And ended up being the main discussion piece on a week that, we'll talk about obviously in a little bit, but a week that's been about punching tickets, March Madness, the start of it. So, Nick, what was your reaction? I know you were you on the road quite yet? Probably not.
I was in the office.
So what was actually, that might be perfect for you then. What was kind of the reaction at the office then for you when the news kind of hit?
It was, my reaction was probably different than everybody else's.
Right.
People around me were shocked, a little bit, because they didn't know if this was the end. I saw an article at the beginning of the year that potentially this could be both Mike Bray and Jim Boeheim's last season as the head coaches of Notre Dame and Syracuse. So I've thought about it all year. I only went to one Syracuse game this year, and it was the season opener against Lehigh, and I thought that maybe this might be his last team. He had his team with his sons for a few years, and he had a really decent team this year. I think that just underperformed. So I think he thought this was maybe his last true shot at maybe, that's not to say they're going to win a national title, but to say that they can make the NCAA tournament once again. But that did not happen. So I've thought about Jim Boeheim potentially retiring. I even said it before yesterday's game that this could be his last game as head coach. So it's not a shock at all that it came out. I just thought maybe he's a little stubborn sometimes. I thought maybe he was going to stick around for a few more years.
Just a little stubborn.
But, so not really shocked at all. Not really shocked that Autry's taken over. Maybe thought a little bit McNamara, but Autry I think is more ready for the job than McNamara is.
Yeah. And we'll touch on that in a couple moments as well.
But we see it all the time when you start underperforming, whether you're a coach or a player or whatever, or even at your job, you get older, you start unperforming, like not doing well at your job. That's when you start thinking, okay, maybe it is my time. You see it all the time in sports. Not too often does someone go out as a champion. I mean, we've seen Derek Jeter. He missed the playoffs his last few years in his Yankee career. Mm-hmm. We saw Kobe Bryant. His teams were terrible. Even Peyton Manning went out as a winner, but that was probably the worst year of his career, was that Super Bowl 50 run. Mm-hmm. So, it's just you just know when you start not doing well at what you do, it's time. And it really is time. I think maybe a few years too late, but it doesn't matter. I mean, no one's even talking about, like, the last 24 hours. No one's even talking about the Syracuse struggles, how mediocre they've been, how heartbreaking that loss was against Wake Forest yesterday. Nobody's even talking about that, because what that man did for that program. 47 years he was just the head coach, and that's not even talking about his years before. And he's also a Lions guy, so he's local. He's a local guy, and he turned around a local college team. He made them a powerhouse. I mean, they were #1, national title in 2003, made 4 or 5 Final Fours, most recently in 2016. He did a lot for that program. He created a 2-3 zone that was tough to beat in the tournament. It's hard to prepare for that zone in 2 days. That's why I think they've made multiple runs, even with teams that weren't as good in the regular season. So he's done a lot. He should be honored. As a, like you said, diehard Notre Dame fan, it was tough for me, on Tuesday to see Mike Bray, because they lost a heartbreaker. They had the lead late against Virginia Tech. Obviously, they're the number 14 seed. Shout out, we're the only 15 seed to ever win an ACC tournament game. But 14 seed, it's been a miracle for them to even come close to winning that tournament. But knowing that it was going to be his last game, whatever it was, it just so happened to be Tuesday, it was tough, because that's the only coach I know who's coached Notre Dame, and he took them to 2 Elite Eights back-to-back there in 2015 and 16. He won the ACC tournament in 2015, so he's the greatest Notre Dame coach in my eyes, and he might be all time. So it's tough to see, Bray, because I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I live in a household of Syracuse fans, so it's tough to see Bray go the day before and then Boeheim the next day. Those are the 2 coaches I grew up watching, so just tough, but they should be honored.
Nate, I know we exchanged a couple messages yesterday as the news kind of broke. So what was kind of your initial reaction when you first saw it?
Surprised. I was very shocked, on the other hand, of Nick there. I did not expect it to happen this year. He'd already said earlier in the year that he would like to coach next year. I think he might have used the word intend to coach next year. Of course, it was never, 100% that he was. But, I'm just a little disappointed with the way it happened. He goes off after that heartbreaking loss, and he does the whole thing. I did my retirement speech last week, but no one got it. He does the whole song and dance with reporters that he's done his entire career. I would have liked it to go, peaceful, maybe not is the correct word, but I would like it to go a little bit better than that. This is obviously a guy who, there is no Syracuse basketball without Jim Boeheim. That's for sure. There's no debating that. A decorated winner, too. So I would just like to be a little bit more honorful, but I guess that's Jim Boeheim, right? He's been doing that his whole career, so why not go out like that? So I guess it makes sense in the long run. Yeah,
I want to I'll read this tweet from Sean Keeley. He tweeted it yesterday regarding kind of how this went down, right? Again, I cannot stress this enough. This is always how Boeheim's retirement was going to go. Messy, confusing, and leaving you with an uneasy sense of what actually happened. Like waking up the morning after flip night. And that's the thing about all this too that I want to get your guys' thoughts on is the fact that I think Boeheim's been more alluding to it being a retirement, whereas the university has made it seem like he stepped down or away or something like that. And it really is spot on, especially I'd say the past decade's kind of gone with the way basketball has gone with, not just Syracuse, but, just collectively as a whole in collegiate athletics. It certainly it left me with some eyebrow raises about maybe what actually happened behind the scenes. The way it sounded, he at least had another year on a contract whether or not that's the case, I don't know. But I feel like I have maybe more questions than answers after yesterday.
Are we really surprised that he took the Michael Scout route to leave? That's an office reference of him. He didn't do the Coach K farewell tour.
I'm not surprised he didn't do that portion of it. No.
You know, hugs every home last game you play at each stadium.
To quote something from the NASCAR world with Richard Petty, you know, concerts by Alabama, gifts from the president, stuff like that.
Yeah,
You know?
Jim Boeheim's not that type of person. And I thought that for the last few years, whenever it is his time, he's just going to leave. He's not going to have no farewell tour. He's not even going to let you know. He's just going to be, like, even the post game yesterday, he didn't really let us know. It was till after the game.
It was that one line where he's like only one person picked up on it. Like,
Yeah.
and like at that point, like, what the hell does that mean?
And he was pretty emotional in that post game, so you knew something was up. So, no, I'm not surprised that he didn't do no farewell tour. Just walk away, because that's how he is. He just, I don't know. He's not, or as I'll use the word again, he's not, for as stubborn as he is, he's not very, egotistical, I don't think. I think as a head coach. I think he's always just been about the basketball. And he's always been, that man probably watched more basketball than anyone you'll ever know. So it's always been about basketball and trying to make Syracuse better.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just about as big a competitor as you can probably have, in all honesty. Before we get out on this topic, obviously, Nick, you alluded to it, right? Adrian Autry named the next head coach of Syracuse Orange men's basketball. I think maybe I'll say a lot of people our age probably thought it might have been Jerry McNamara. I was kind of surprised the fact that they went Autry in a way, because maybe this is the way it's been peppered into my brain. I think we kind of maybe expected it to be McNamara. I don't mind it. Kind of now taking a step back, we're in that 18 to 20 hour window since this news kind of broke yesterday. Personally speaking, I would have preferred them to maybe have gone out of house, or at least have maybe gone down that route or explored somebody down that possibility. But that's also, I think, a little bit of a personal thing with me in a way. If you want to go really back into the Rolodex a little bit, following kind of the way Syracuse football was for still all of my life, I was very happy that they went outside and got Dino Babers, right? Now pushing, 7 years ago, as opposed to going in-house or going down this in-house route after it did not go well with Scott Schaefer. You want to go before that, Doug Marrone, I kind of call in-house because he has some coaching experience at Syracuse, but, Greg Robinson to Paul Pasqualoni to Coach Mack, just going further down the line there. So I think that's kind of like one of those personal things with me. Again, I don't hate it. I think Autry's going to do fine. He's a guy that handles a lot of the recruiting elements as well for the team. So I think at least the connection with the players, I think that might ease some potential what I'll call transfer portal stuff and maybe declarations for the draft type stuff.
It's nuts to see that all these coaches that we grew up watching are all pretty much all out of the league now, besides your man Bill Self.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But I think they just need a new face in there. Obviously, you knew they were going to go in-house. 47 years as the head coach. They're not just going to say, oh, yeah, we're not going to ask for your opinion after 47 years as the head coach. So I'm sure Jim Boeheim gave him a great recommendation, and I'm sure it's been in the works for not just this year, but the last few years that Autry was going to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of ironic that same day he makes his announcement, Washington gets eliminated in the Pac-12 tournament, and not making any predictions on someone getting fired, but Mike Hopkins might be out the door on Washington coming up here soon. So
yeah,
it would have been something that if he had, maybe it was his job all along, but it's not, because it's officially he's going to be Autry. So we'll see what Hopkins does. He's still the Washington coach last time I knew for the last 24 hours, but
yeah, I don't know if they're going to fire him. There's a lot of other stuff going on behind the scenes at Washington that I think they're going to take precedence over at the moment, but one name I do want to mention that I did want them to take a look at was the guy who a couple of the Syracuse losses the past couple of years that really pins out. I think you might know who I'm kind of alluding to here. Colgate's Matt Langle. I will have enjoyed at least the opportunity to possibly have at least gone down that path.
You think he's going to leave this year? I mean,
He's going to be one. He's going to be one of the hottest commodities.
How many years in a row they won the Patriot League? They've been in it a while now.
Jeez, I know it's at least their second in a row. I don't know how many exactly in a row.
Yeah.
But I know it's second in a row.
I mean, they've beaten Syracuse the
Third,
last
so
2
it's their
years.
third straight, fourth in the last 5 seasons, and 6th overall. So what's that tell you?
And this is Colgate. I mean, they were
Yeah.
never really, they were middle of the pack.
No, I mean the Colgate was a team, again, not to I guess spoil anything for too much, maybe for that next segment, if you will, but you know, Colgate was a team that had a run in the 50s and 60s where they were really good when the NIT was the tournament that you wanted to be in. Went borderline dormant for years to the point that I think they were probably one of the most forgotten about programs in NCAA, regalia. And Wangle comes up from Temple as an assistant from Temple under Fran Dunphy, who another great coach who's still coaching, oddly enough. But it has, like I said, I mean, turned around a program that has become quite, to be honest with you, Cinderella darling in March Madness the past couple of years. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to be a hot commodity no matter what. Would have been interesting, though, to keep him in Central New York, potentially. But, like I said, I don't hate the Adrian Autry thing. Hey, I mean, look, at the end of the day, that is a step up. And I think, honestly, a program like Notre Dame, I think he'd probably fit very well. So, all right, let's transition over to the World Baseball Classic.
Day 3.
We are in day 3, but first tournament since 2017. Let's break this down quick for people who may not know. It kind of follows a World Cup aspect element here. Not as many pools or anything like that, or not as many teams either.
But it's the same format.
Same format. 4 pools, 5 teams in each, so 20 total national teams. Pool A are in Taichung, Taiwan. Pool B is in Tokyo, Japan. Pool C is in Phoenix, Arizona. And Pool D is in Miami. Pool C and D have yet to start. Pool A is now on day 3, technically, of their experience. Pool B is in day 2. Well, it will be day 2 here in a matter of a few hours. And then Pool C and Pool D get going here within the next couple days. It's been interesting. We've already had a couple of surprises, to be quite honest with you. I didn't expect Cuba to be 0-2 at this point, to the point that I'm now, in all honesty, pretty much convinced Pool A is going to be Netherlands and Italy, to be quite honest with you. I did not expect Cuba to be 0-2, especially for the first time in history, the Major League American professional defectors are able to play on the national team. This was, I thought, that would really push them even maybe further over the edge to kind of get them back to where they were 15 plus years ago now, and it's just not looking like the case, I guess. But other than that, I kind of alluded to it. Pool A, Netherlands, Italy, Panama, Chinese, Taipei, and Cuba. Pool B has Australia, Japan, the Czech Republic, China, and Korea. Pool C has Canada, Colombia, Great Britain, Mexico, and the USA. And then Pool D, the Dominican Republic, Israel, Nicaragua, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela.
The group of death.
Yeah, I was going to say Pool D is pool of death. Pool C is a near pool death, potentially, but, pool of death.
Pool B is Japan running away with it. 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought Japan's going to do that. I honestly thought Korea might be able to stick with them, but, I mean, early on here, Australia is looking like potentially that second team coming out of Pool B.
Yeah,
obviously it's tough, right? Pool B's only played 1 game each, so.
Pool A, what hurt Cuba in Pool A so far is that they had to play the Netherlands the first game.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously, baseball, anything can happen in 1 game of baseball. And Italy pulled out an extra inning game this morning. But I thought those were the 2 best teams in that pool. Now that Italy beat Cuba, put them in an 0-2 hole, it's going to be tough for Cuba. I mean, the pressure's on Italy because they got to play 4 straight days. They're gonna have to beat the Panama. They're gonna have to
Beat the Panama.
They're gonna have to beat Panama though, because
Yeah.
Cuba's
And that Panama team's, I think, scrappier than people, I think, realize. I mean, they're 1-1, but like they're not going down whimpering.
Cuba's got 2 easy games coming up against
Mm-hmm.
the Chinese Taipei and Panama. I think they put
It'd
Panama.
be Italy, right? No, Italy just beat them.
Italy just beat them. Yeah, so they play
So yeah,
Panama.
it would be
So
Panama.
they got to win those 2 games. Obviously, you
I mean, they lose one, they're done. I mean,
yeah,
there's
you
just
can't
no
move
way
on.
around
You
it.
can't move on with 1 win. You have to have at least 2 wins to be in tiebreaker scenarios.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say they're done at 0-2, but it's not a great start. Obviously,
I mean, the main issue is Italy's going to have the tiebreak on them. The Netherlands are going to have the tiebreak on them no matter what.
shout out my man Mike Piazza, coach in Italy.
How about that?
Yes.
Italy's got a lot, and we'll touch on this more, but Italy's got some good players on that
What
team.
Cuba needs in this group is they need Italy to lose a couple games here, but it's gonna
Yeah, they need to probably drop that Chinese Taipei game in all honesty.
Yeah, Chinese Taipei, they definitely showed up. I was watching the first day there, and there was nobody for that Netherlands-Cuba game. The place was pretty empty.
Right.
And
Outside of Horn
then
guy.
yeah, the horn guy. But I turned the game on in the morning, and it was packed. So,
Mm.
I didn't get a chance to watch the games this morning. I'm assuming Japan. It was probably a sellout crowd
Right.
for Japan, China this morning. But yeah, I think Japan's going to run away with it. I think the Netherlands. It's not surprising the Netherlands have made back-to-back semifinals in this tournament. So they're not bad. I can't believe Cuba was favored by so much. They were like a plus 250 or something like that against Netherlands the first game. Looking at the teams.
Well, that was on the live line. They were big. They weren't big favorites going into that game, but they were sizable.
Yeah, Netherlands got. I mean, they got Bogarts. They got DD, Jonathan Scope or Shoop. I mean, all the Cuba major league players that they have is a kind of washed up Jonas Cespedes and Luis Robert. So
I wouldn't say Roberts washed up, but
No,
I mean,
no.
you know, Yohan Makata's
I
also
had a semicolon in there. I had a semicolon. Washed up Jonas Cespedes and Luis Robert. But yeah, so not surprising that the Netherlands won. United States now. How are you feeling about Adam Wainwright starting game 1?
Yeah, that's a lot of, I think, I don't know if D-Row is kind of doing the buying in element of things, but I don't know. Let's talk, though, about the U.S. And maybe Pool C for a bigger scale. This is probably the best U.S. team really ever assembled, potentially. And I think that speaks to a greater effect, the fact that there's a lot more MLB players playing this year across the board. Mention a little bit like Italy. I mean, they got some good players. Nicky Lopez is playing for them. David Fletcher, my guy Vinny Pasquantino.
They're good players. They're not Mike Trout, Kyle Tucker.
But that's what I'm getting at here. The U.S. has the firepower this year. They do.
Hitting.
Playing for them.
The pitching scares me.
Yes, correct. I see them having no problem getting through Pool C.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting pool because I don't think it's like Pool of Death the way Pool D is Pool of Death, but the U.S. could find themselves outside looking in because Mexico's very good. Canada's a similar team to Italy in the sense that you have, I think, like Freddie Freeman's playing for them, so I mean that's a different volume. Colombia's got some big leaguers there, like Jorge Alfaro, but they're not there. Same thing with Great Britain, like Jazz Chisholm's playing for them, but it's like, but I mean, if the U.S. like sleeps on Canada or Mexico, like they could lose very easily. They could.
Oh my god! And this is the easy part of the tournament.
Right.
They get to the quarterfinals. They're going to have 3 straight
Right.
tough baseball games to win.
Yep.
So this is the easy part, the group play. Yeah, I mean they cannot sleep on Mexico, Canada, Colombia. Have to beat Great Britain on Saturday.
Mhm.
I think that is you don't beat Great Britain, they're done. I would put them after 0-1, they're done if they don't beat Great Britain. That's the easiest game. Obviously, they're not done, but but it would not look good. But I'm interested to see how Mark DeRosa coaches as a manager of the United States. I mean, we won with Jim Leland, who's the greatest manager of all time.
So let's go back to Ueno, though. It's interesting because he is the oldest player on the roster. He's getting the starting nod for Game 1. It's kind of weird. I almost would have rather them have seen. This is where the MLB teams kind of come into it. I almost would rather see maybe like Merrill Kelly or Lance Lynn get the ball.
Now,
Game
here's
1.
the thing. He's only going to pitch like 3 innings.
Right. Well, there's pitch counts in these opening pools.
Not pitch counts. Pitch limits.
Well, right.
You can throw 200 pitches.
Correct.
But if you throw a certain amount of pitches, you can't pitch for
Correct.
Like 4 days.
I should have been more accurate in that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I'm intrigued. They were saying that some guy at MLB Network was like, one of these guys that's on this team, they're wondering if he can throw 200 pitches or something like that. Try to go for it. But so yeah, I think they have like 10 bullpen guys. There's like tons of relievers on the team.
Yeah, Jason Adam, Daniel Bard, David Bednard, Kendall Graveman, Nick Martinez, Adam Ottavino, Ryan Presley. Yeah, I mean,
so I'm thinking
Devin Williams. Are they using Brooks Raley out of the bullpen? I'd imagine they are.
So I mean, unless Wainwright has it going, he's probably only going to pitch 3 innings and then go right to the bullpen, make it a bullpen game.
Right.
But we're going to have to hit. Just because we have all these needs, these guys aren't in mid-season form.
Right.
This is still early spring training action. So these guys got to be ready. They got to be able to hit. We cannot have slumps. It's going to be interesting how DeRosa plays it because his bench is loaded too.
Yeah.
Who's going to be it's hard to tell in such a short amount of time who's hot. So, I don't know. I think we have a winnable group. It should give us the confidence to get into the quarterfinals and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fun group. It allows for definitely, I would call shenanigans, if you will, if you're the U.S. I mean, JT Realmuto, your starting catcher, and Will Smith as your backup's not bad. Yeah, Higashiyaka is on the roster too, which is funny to me. You couldn't find a better third. But
they have a third-string catcher.
Yeah, but Pete Alonso, Tim Anderson, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Shane Matheny, Trey Turner, Bobby Wood Jr. That's a solid collective infield right there that you'd love to have. Plus, mention the outfield, right? Mookie Betts, Jeff McNeil, Cedric Mullins, Kyle Schwarber, Mike Trout, Kyle Tucker. Whew. Tough outs,
Who
right?
Who plays? Who sits?
I'd imagine your starting outfield's got to be Betts, Trout, Tucker.
Tucker's got to play.
I'd go Tucker. And then, honestly, DH. DH is interesting. I think you probably would go Alonso, right? Alonso or Schwarber. And then, because, Goldschmidt's starting at first. Anderson's at second, I think. Arenado's at third. Trey Turner's probably your starting shortstop over Bobby Witt. Yeah, definitely. So.
Yeah, Bobby Witt's by far the youngest on that team. 2000.
After the millennia. I feel old.
Yeah.
But
it's a very veteran United States team, which is good. I don't know if they've played in the...
Adam Wainwright was 19, by the way, when Bobby Witt was born.
Yeah. That's something. But
what do you make of, by the way, what do you make of all the major leaguers playing, though, across the board this year? I think that's huge.
I love it.
Yeah.
Especially in March, to see competitive baseball like that. Just the other day, it was nice to see Didi knock in a run and be all excited about it. And it gets us away from the stupid spring training. But no, if it's like 2 weeks of competitive baseball, I always look forward to it when it comes around. Obviously, it's been 6 years because of COVID. So I look forward to it. It gets us into the baseball mood before the season actually gets going.
Yeah.
And I don't know the statistics of a player who plays in the World Baseball Classic, how their season turns out, but I think it gets you off to a little bit of a head start, I think, compared to other people. So
definitely.
Hopefully nobody gets hurt.
Mentioned Mike Piazza coaching Italy. They had an interesting little bench there. Chris DiNorfia is the third base and hitting coach.
Really?
Yeah. And then if you want to go really far back, Jason Simon Tachi is their pitching coach.
I see Charlie Manuel is the
He's on the U.S. Staff
Yeah.
as the bench coach, I believe. Is it bench coach?
gotta be. I would assume. I don't. Pitching coach.
Let me get back down here. Bench coach. Him and Brian McCann are dual bench coaches.
Andy Pettit's on there too.
Pettit's the pitching coach, yeah.
Pitching coach.
Ken Griffey's the hitting coach.
Ken
Love
Griffey
it.
Jr.
Yeah.
The loaded.
Japan. I do want to mention Japan because, man, dude, they got some players as usual. But Darvish is playing. Otani's playing.
Breaking news out of Yankee land.
Oh, wait, what?
Carlos Rodon has a left forearm strain, will not throw for 7 to 10 days, and will start the season on the IL, per Brian Cashman.
Oh, crap. God.
Can we get a live look at Paul?
Why you got to do that? Man.
He was just all excited about talking about the United States roster. Now you just put him in a bad mood.
So about to get the Lars Newt bar even.
It's all right, Paul.
Producers got to stay with the news.
So that's pretty great. I mean, leave it to the Yankees to have that happen with their big free agent signing. So anyway, let's get back to World Baseball Classic. Nick, who do you got kind of here? You know, these first couple weeks. Who are the teams that you're really looking at, say outside the U.S.?
I think 2 semifinals teams potentially on this side. How's the semifinals work? Did the bracket?
It's similar. So it's like winner of Pool A plays second place Pool B.
Yeah. I get
Yeah.
that part. How do the semifinals work? Who's playing who? What matchups in the quarters?
Oh, it's a good question.
Like, can the United States play Japan did they play them in the semis, or do they have to wait to the championship? I gotta assume they cross over.
So Pool A and Pool B. So the semifinals are.
Yeah, because
Hold on, this is a very confusing thing.
I get
I'm
the
sorry.
quarterfinals.
I want to apologize.
The two of
Okay,
A and
so
B
yeah,
play each other.
yeah. So quarterfinal A. So that would be the winner of Pool B runner-up and Pool A runner-up plays the winner of Pool C runner-up and Pool D runner-up. So the U.S. could face Japan in the semifinal.
Okay.
Could.
Anyway, so it's kind of hard to figure out what the bracket is, but I'll say Netherlands and Japan are the top 2 teams on this Pool A and Pool B. Watching a little bit of the exhibition games today or yesterday, and going to be a little bit today. Canada losing to the Cubs, not a good sign. The Dominican Republic
Dominican just rolled
Yeah.
Atlanta.
rolled Atlanta, so that's a good sign for them. So I like the DR still, and I like the United States, the last 2 champions. I mean, there's only been 3 champions in the 4 previous years of this tournament. Japan won the first 2, DR won the third, and the United States won the last one in 2017. So obviously I like them. I think I always go off who has more major leaguers, because obviously some of these other leagues are good. Like the Japan League is good, but I think Major League Baseball is the best. So if you got more major leaguers, you got a better shot of winning. So I think it's tough for teams like Puerto Rico, Venezuela,
Wow.
because of the group they're in.
Really?
One of them is going to be out. The DR
True.
is going to be moving on. One of them is definitely going to be out. It sucks for Israel. Israel's actually got a pretty decent.
Let's say managed by Ian Kinsler.
Yeah. And who's the other team in that group?
That would be
Venezuela, Puerto-
Nicaragua.
Nicaragua.
Yeah.
That's the other team. I don't really know much about them.
Nor do I.
So I think you're looking at Israel getting hosed, and then I think Venezuela, Puerto Rico is going to be joining the DR into the quarterfinals. I think I really do believe the United States will run through their group, and I think if something to keep an eye on is who's going to be joining them out of their group. Canada, Mexico, Colombia, definitely not Great Britain.
Damn.
But I'm a little disappointed television-wise that Fox is only carrying certain games on Saturdays. So the championship, which ends on Tuesday, is on FS1. A little disappointed by that, but a little disappointed by these USA times. starting at 10 o'clock at night. Like, come on. Especially if there's a game earlier. I get that they have to be the night game out in Phoenix, but 10 p.m. I'm a night owl, but so I'll be up watching. But I'm looking out for everybody else. Not too pleased with the first pitch times.
I hear you.
One thing I need to mention
Sure.
about this that I've noticed, man, do I love the pitch clock. There is no pitch clock in the World Baseball Classic, and boy, and this is the baseball I've been watching for a long time. Boy, was it slow watching these normal games that we were so used to, and the pitch clock is so much faster. I like it.
Welcome to the dark side of the pitch clock, Nick. Come on in.
Yeah, you can tell. Watch a World Baseball Classic game and watch a spring training game. You'll see the difference. It's nuts.
Yeah. All right, let's before we head out here, let's touch on some March Madness because conference tournament week tickets already punched. Let's run through them quickly. Start in the Northeast Conference. Fairleigh Dickinson punched their ticket in the Ohio Valley. SEMO, baby. Southeast Missouri State. It's heading to the big dance. Their second appearance, their first since 2000 for the
Good for
Red
them.
Hawks. UNC Asheville will be coming out of the Big South. Drake is coming out of the Missouri Valley. In the ASUN, it is Kennesaw State. Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, out of the Fun Belt. Southern will have Furman. Northern Kentucky, the Norse, coming out of the Horizon. Charleston, one of the teams to keep an eye on, coming out of the CAA. Gonzaga from the WCC. Oral Roberts, another team to keep an eye on. They're coming out of the Summit. Tickets punched yesterday include the Southlands, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, the Patriots League Colgate, as we mentioned, and Big Sky with Montana State. So, a few other ones. I don't think any technically get punched today. I'm double checking to make sure of that.
So there's 32 conferences,
And nope. Yep.
68 tickets, 36 at-larges, 32 automatic bids, obviously. It's a very underrated time of the year.
It's a fun week. There's more basketball today, this Thursday, than there will be next Friday, for example.
Yeah, I mean, people get excited about the tournament, and I don't blame them. But conference tournament, I think takes a back seat to the NCAA tournament. I don't agree with that because this is for those smaller schools. Yes, you get to play in a tournament game, and I recommend them to play in the 16 versus 16 playing games because it gives them a chance to win a conference NCAA tournament game, I should say. But this is their championship. Like Colgate, sure they want to be a Cinderella, but this is their championship this weekend or the week before. So, yeah, this is their biggest moment of the year to win the conference and punch your ticket to the NCAA tournament, which is the most, watched college basketball games of the year. So, it's pretty cool to see. Especially, I'm sick and tired of hearing teams winning the conference tournament though and not going to the NCAA tournament. Like, either.
So that did almost happen, by the way.
Either one, get them out of the conference tournaments until they're ready, or two, just let them be eligible. What is this 4-year wait?
So that did almost actually happen
It
in
did
the
happen.
Northeast.
Merrimack won.
Wait, who?
Merrimack.
No, well, that's what I'm getting at. It would have happened in the Northeast, yeah.
Oh, okay. But it did happen, though.
Correct.
Dickinson got in.
Fairleigh Dickinson beat Merrimack.
Oh, I thought Merrimack won.
No. Well, actually, yeah, I think
Are you
technically
sure?
Merrimack did.
I
Yeah.
thought Merrimack won
No,
the-
wait,
won the
yeah,
tournament.
you're right. Yeah, I'm with that. Happened last year with Bellarmine or
Yes.
Mar. And
Yeah,
it
now back-to-back years. Bellarmine last year, and then this year.
could have happened.
Merrimack.
I think it could have happened again. I think it was.
I think you're right, though.
Was it last year with?
Well, there was
It's
another
happened a
opportunity
lot
this year,
lately.
too, right?
Yeah. There's another team this year that's hanging around that I think could. I can't remember who though. I need to. Yeah, but I'm with you. I think it's dumb. I mean, like you see the same thing like in college football. Like James Madison frickin' was rolling people this year, the first year of Division 1A, and they aren't. You kidding me? They aren't eligible. Like
It's like a fantasy football league. It's your first year in
Yeah.
the league. Nope, you can play, but you can't make the playoffs until 4 years.
Can't come in, yeah. Can't come to the party. Just dumb. I don't get it. Anyway, what's what like tournament here the rest of the way has like the most intrigue for you? Because I think mine might be the Big Ten, only because I find the bubble teams there to be more interesting than
Who
like
won,
the ACC.
who won the Rutgers Michigan game? Is that tonight, or is it yesterday?
Well, I mean, like Nebraska like pooped themselves and they lost to Minnesota. I think that's today, isn't it? I feel like I would not have missed that. Anyway.
Rutgers Michigan's at noon, actually in 15 minutes.
Oh,
That is
boy.
what you call an elimination game, right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So to me, like the Big Ten has the most intrigue, only because of the bubble teams with them. I find them more intriguing than the ACC. But I mean, I'm not. As I would say, I'm not discriminatory. Like I frankly love watching like the A10 tournament because there's just a lot of like, as I call it, panic and intrigue. Big East has been great though for the opening day. Sold out yesterday. Great atmosphere at MSG. Remind me of the good old days, if you know what I mean. So
The Knicks are on the road.
wow, yeah, the circus is in town. Wait, and then plus to me another fun part of this is, at least for betting purposes, I love West Coast stuff after dark at this time of year because really there's only a couple games you have to really focus on, and you can really have some fun, whether it's Washington Mountain West, WAC. I guess technically, CUSA is in Texas this year, so no worries there, I guess. But Pac-12 as well. Always a lot of fun. A lot of fun watching the stuff after dark because, like I said, you only have a couple games actually to focus on at that point. So, Tickets Punch, mentioned that already. Are you surprised, I guess, that speaking of MSG, I do want to mention this because Nate shared the picture with me yesterday. Did you see the picture from Greensboro, the opening game on Tuesday for the first round?
No. Was that the?
Like 3 people there.
Yeah, for the Georgia Tech.
Yeah, noted travel hotspot Greensboro.
Yeah.
Like, what's that tell you about big time college basketball at this point? Yeah, see Nate put it up right now. What's that tell you about
Wow.
the ACC at this time? So maybe Greensboro ain't the place. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be whatever, because Greensboro I do want to visit, but not for an ACC basketball tournament.
And yesterday you said the Big East was packed for just the
Sold
first
out.
round.
Sold out. It was a sold out first round. They sold the allotted 19,000 plus tickets, and couldn't allow anybody else in. Shame.
It is a shame.
I miss the Big East.
I think we all do, and this is the 10th year now.
Yeah.
Finished up in the ACC. So.
Big sad. All right. So that'll take care of it for Fresh Takes for today. Appreciate everybody for tuning in as always. Make sure anytime you can catch up on Facebook, Spotify, Anchor, other major platforms as well. Who are you shouting out today?
I got a lot of notes and shout outs today.
Oh, okay.
Or one shout out.
Well, fire away.
Well, get my shout out of the way. Shout out my Aunt Sheila. Her birthday's on Monday.
29.
Happy birthday, Aunt Sheila. But a couple notes. I just want to say, happy birthday, COVID. It is COVID 3 years ago this week.
Thanks for the reminder.
I think the most forgotten golf round in the history of golf was Hideki Matsuyama, who shot a 963 on the first round of the Players in front of no fans on that Thursday, and the whole rest of the tournament got canceled the next day. So I think we got to give Hideki his shout out. He had a 63 that day in front of nobody for the Players Championship back in 2020. Probably the last bit of sports that we saw that in this world for a few months there. But last note from me, daylight savings time is this week, so
Spring forward, baby.
set your clock.
We won't be living in the dark anymore.
Set your clocks back, right?
Well, spring forward. You jump ahead. You spring forward.
Oh, yeah, you
you
move it
fall
hours,
back.
too.
Spring forward. Fall back.
Yeah, big fan of daylight savings time, so enjoy the holiday.
Holiday.
It's a holiday
All right, fair enough.
at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning.
All right. Appreciate you, Nick. Appreciate Nate, as always, behind the scenes. We will catch up with everybody next week for another edition of Fresh Takes. Take care.